The purpose of this training is to take you through the steps necessary to get set up to run a swim meet. Keep in mind that several pieces of equipment are working together to run a swim meet. The Dolphin timers are used by our lane line timers to time the meet. The data from the Dolphin timers is sent to the Dolphin software on the laptop, which is communicating with the touchpad software, and it is the touchpad software that actually runs the meet. After a meet with Wi-Fi access, we are able to push the touchpad software data into our team webpage, which is powered by Team Unify. It is on the team webpage that parents can access the data of their swimmer, either by looking at the My Meet results on the left-hand side of that screen once they're logged into their family account, or on the On Deck app. To further explain this process, we're going to look at how the electronic start system works. We have the starter, who is working over by the lane blocks where all the swimmers start the race. We have the infinity starter that has the blue Dolphin starter connected to it. The starter starts each race by saying, "Swimmers, take your mark." You'll hear the loud buzz, and our Dolphin timers automatically start running. Once the swimmers are done racing, our lane line timers stop the Dolphins. It goes back to our starter. To use that small starter box, they have to press start, stop, reset. That saves the data and sends it wirelessly over to the laptop, where we can then make sure that data gets put into the touchpad software. As you are learning how to run a meet, you'll find yourself wanting to refer to the tab within the user guide that is called the detailed notes. These are nice because it includes some pictures, so you really can follow step by step on what it is that you need to do. Once you have done this a few times, you'll find that the detailed notes are more than you need, but you'll want a reminder of the steps that you need to go through at every single meet, which is when you'll find yourself going to the quick notes tab within the user guide that has what to do before, at, and after meet, with all of the step-by-step, but all condensed language so that it fits all onto minimal sheets of paper. For today's purpose, we're going to look through the how to run a meet training notes, the detailed ones. Now, on the day of a meet, you're going to arrive 30 minutes before the swimmers get there. So on a Saturday meet, 7 a.m., and on a Thursday meet, you'll be arriving at 4 p.m. This gives you 30 minutes to set up everything in the lifeguard office and test your Dolphin timer system before anybody arrives. You'll be setting up in the lifeguard office on a table. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff on that table. You'll have to kind of kindly push it aside so you can set up both the laptop and 2 printers. You will then turn on the laptop and move to step number 1 to test your Dolphin timer. So you'll then first plug in the Dolphin USB. This is found within the laptop bag. Looks like this. It plugs into a USB. There are several USB ports on this particular laptop. Doesn't matter which one you plug it into. It is important, though, that this Dolphin gets placed on the little half shelf door so that it can wirelessly have a connection with our infinity starter without that wireless signal being broken. So you don't want this sitting inside the office. You want it up high, sitting on that. There's a door in the swim office that has that little half door and it has a shelf that you can place it on. The next step is to open the Dolphin program on the computer. That looks like this. It says Dolphin shortcut. Here's the Dolphin program. You'll see across the top, timer A, timer B, timer C. We only use timer A and timer B for each lane, and then it has lanes on the left there. Obviously, our pool only has 4 lanes, so you'll only see data coming through lane 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next step is to go and turn on your Dolphin timers. Here are our dolphin timers. We have a 1A, 1B, 1C. 1C is really just a backup. It does get turned on at every meet, but doesn't actually do anything. If we ever have a dolphin fail permanently, we could work with the Dolphin software to have that 1C end up replacing one of these old Dolphin timers. If it were to fail permanently, they could help us program it to be a replacement. So to turn these on, you hit reset, you hold it down until it lights up. And then you'll notice this one's programmed to be 2A. All the way to the left, you'll see how strong its battery life is and how strong its signal is. And then it says 2A. So this one's 1A. You'll see it in the screen. But that's why this 1C, we don't use it, but it does act as a backup if we ever needed to replace one of these other ones. Not at the meet, but sometime after the meet, we could work with the Dolphin software company and help us reprogram that to match with the lane that we needed it to replace. The next step is to walk over to your Infinity starter. It should be in the off position. It should have been charged the night before a meet so that it's ready to go. We keep it in the off position for just about everything. For charging, for plugging in, for unplugging, always in the off position. We turn it on just to run a meet, but then again, turn it off before you go and unplug everything. The microphone gets plugged into microphone 1. The Infinity starter, the small little box there, gets plugged into the start output. And then the next step would be to turn on the Dolphin starter. This gets turned on the same way the Dolphins do, where you hit reset until it lights up. And then finally, because everything is done, we can go ahead and turn on the starter. You'll see the green light come on and the speaker come on, showing that we're ready to go. We can now go ahead and do a test run. Just before I do the test run, I will show you, this is what the Dolphin screen now looks like. You'll see the battery life all the way to the left for each timer, how strong its signal is, how well it's talking to the computer. So that's why you want that signal to be nice and strong, which is why that Dolphin USB needs to be sitting on that shelf of that blue door in the office so that it's not blocked by any concrete walls. The signal is able to send to the starter. And then you'll even see that the starter has a battery, how strong that battery is, and how strong its signal is, and how well it's talking to your laptop. So that's how your screen looks right now. But now we're going to go ahead and pretend to run a meet. So if the starter will use the microphone and say, "Swimmers, take your mark," you're going to hear a very loud buzz right now. And that automatically starts our Dolphin timers. For a test run, you need to let them run for at least 10 seconds for the computer to recognize it as a pretend race. So then we can go ahead and start stopping these as if the swimmers have finished racing. You can stop them by pressing one black button on one side or both at the same time. Either way works. So it's just kind of preference as to what people like to do. Then it is so critical that our starters are trained well, because they need to then press, after all the swimmers are all done racing, they need to press start, stop, reset. This is the magic button that has to be pressed for this data to be saved. Otherwise, what the swimmer or what the Dolphin timers have just timed ends up being lost and is kind of for naught. So our Dolphin starters have a really important role in our meets and need to be trained well to make sure they're diligently doing Swimmers take your mark, and then on that dolphin starter, pressing start, stop, reset at the end of each race. On your screen now, you'll see that there'll be times for every single swimmer, or pretend swimmer that we had just now. Now, this isn't saving the data. This is just showing where it's at. We now need to get it in that touchpad software. So the next step is to go ahead and open the touchpad software. Do not close the Dolphin timer, just leave it open. But open your touchpad software if it's not open yet for the swim meet yet. Make sure you're on today's meet. Critical. See how it says meet name? Make sure you're not putting these times into some other swim meet. We want to be on today's meet. This is just a practice that I created. And we're going to go to enter results. A lot of things are going to pop up because this is set up for us to walk you through what a novice user might need a lot of reminders. So we just click OK through most of those. This is a warning. Typically a warning would be important for you to read and make sure you deal with. I put my daughter into this meet and it's saying that she has not been seeded yet because I did not seed the meet because it's not a real meet. So that is okay to override. But typically if there's an error, you have to figure out why that is. These are some more reminders on how to use the software. And you can read through those, but for the most part, you're clicking OK. This is the screen that you will see throughout the entire meet. You'll become very familiar with seeing this screen. At the very top there, you'll see number 1, because that's the first race of the meet. Female, girls, 15 to 18, 50 free. The drop down then there, the little arrow to the right of it, will show each race for this meet. Race 1, 2, 3, and so on, all the way to 76 races for a meet. On the bottom here is the box where the Dolphin timer data gets collected. You'll see it says CTS Dolphin Timer. Now we've just done a test run. We've arrived at our meet. We tested the Dolphin timers. We want to make sure that everything's working and communicating properly. So to be sure of that, we now go to Set File Path. We go to Windows. We go to CTS Dolphin. That's where all of this data from the CTS Dolphin that we just tested goes. That's where it saves it. And we click OK. Then we go to Get Sessions. This is kind of neat because the Get Sessions are basically the files of all the Dolphin data. And it kindly dates them. So today is 5/23. It's 8:15 or in the morning. There is our test run. It's there. We click OK. And we can double check that those times came through by looking at Heat 1, which the heat will automatically advance, and the race number. Race number is really like the file number. It stored the Dolphin timers. Your first test of the day will be race or file number 1. The first real race of the day will be file number 2 or race 2, and so on. So you have to keep track of these numbers because it will sometimes change as to which race it gets associated with. So race 1 should be get race. So race number, get race. And there are our times. And looks like I did a terrible time stopping those timers because everybody came up as red, meaning everybody did a terrible time timing. If it wasn't red, you would just leave the check of use. I'm going to leave at least one or two of those maybe with use. But then if it's red, typically you would have to uncheck all of these because they were all red. But I'll show you what happens when you hit use. So say this was green or just no red at all. So okay, good time, and that was a good time. The other one's not. And I click OK to import. And you'll see them automatically populate over here. Typically the names will automatically also be populated, which team they're in, their seed time, their best time ever for this race, and then if our lane timers did a great job, we just throw the times in, no biggie. If our lane timers show up in the red because they're doing a bad job kind of matching up with each other, we have to manually look at those papers that the timers wrote on and see what the middle time is of the 3 timers, Dolphin A, Dolphin B, and our manual, and enter that middle time as the child's actual time. If the swimmer were to DQ, you have to go over the DQ box and select one reason why they DQ'd. Often they DQ for several reasons, but the computer only allows us to select one, so you'll pick one of the reasons why. Say this swimmer had a false start. We put that in, done, and then you click next race. Next race, race number or file number, get race to get the data. So I'll show you, go next race. It automatically goes to number 2, so usually that's kind of already done for you. Get race, and it's saying to me, oh, there's no times because I only did the one practice. But if I did another practice round and the race was going, the next piece of data would be there. Get race, look at them. If they're not red, leave them all checked use. They populate in. If they're not, if they're red, you have to go ahead and pick that middle time.